check. Tonight, former St. Cloud City Council member Jeff Johnson is suspending his GOP campaign for governor after his daughter was killed in an apparent domestic incident. It happened Saturday night on the south side of St. Cloud. Police say officers found 22-year-old Hallie Tobler dead from stab wounds and believe her husband committed the crime. Danny Spiewak joins us now live from St. Cloud with the very latest on this investigation. Danny?
Well, the news of Jeff Johnson's daughter's death this weekend has really shaken the city of St. Cloud. Jeff Johnson is very well known here. He was a city council member from 2010 to 2018, through the year 2018, and was in the middle of running for governor, seeking the GOP nomination here in Minnesota for 2026, but is suspending that campaign now to focus on his family after this tragedy.
On Saturday night, St. Cloud police responded to an emergency call at this apartment complex on the south side of town. That's where investigators say they found 22-year-old Hallie Tobler, the daughter of GOP governor candidate Jeff Johnson,
Saturday night, February 7th, 2026, St. Cloud, Minnesota. Police rushed to a locked apartment after a desperate 911 call. They force open the door and freeze at what they see. 22-year-old Hallie Marie Tobler lies motionless on the floor, stabbed multiple times. Blood everywhere. Her husband, Dylan, age 23, is barely breathing. His wounds? Self-inflicted. But here's where this story takes a shocking turn. Hallie wasn't just another victim. Her father was in the middle of running for governor of Minnesota. His face was on campaign posters across the state. Within 48 hours of finding his daughter's body, his political dreams would be shattered. A young marriage, a locked door, a night of violence that ended one life and destroyed countless others. What really happened in that apartment? And did anyone see the danger coming? Stay with me, because the truth is more disturbing than you think. Welcome back to True Homicide Crimes, where we cover the cases that shake communities to their core. Before we uncover what really happened to Hallie, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. We cover cases like this every week, and you don't want to miss them. And drop a comment telling us, what state or country are you watching from? Let's build this true crime community together. Your voice matters here. Now let's talk about who Hallie really was. Because before she became a headline, before her death ended a political campaign, she was a 22-year-old woman with a whole life ahead of her. Hallie Marie Tobler was 22 years old. She lived in St. Cloud, Minnesota, a quiet city in the south-central part of the state. To most people who knew her family, the Johnsons were well respected. Her father, Jeff Johnson, had served on the St. Cloud City Council for years. By early 2026, he was running for governor of Minnesota as a Republican candidate. Growing up in a family like that meant Hallie understood public service. She saw her father attend community meetings, shake hands at events, and work to make their city better. The Johnson name meant something in St. Cloud. People knew them. People trusted them. But here's what we don't know about Hallie. We don't know what she studied in school. We don't know if she had a job she loved or what her dreams were. We don't know her favorite music, her hobbies, or what made her laugh. That information simply isn't out there. And that's part of the tragedy. When someone dies young, especially like this, we often only learn about them through the worst moment of their life. Hallie becomes the victim instead of the full person she was. What we do know is that Hallie was married to Dylan Michael Tobler. He was 23 years old. The couple shared an apartment in the 3100 block of 41st Avenue South, off 33rd Street South in St. Cloud. It was about a mile north of Interstate 94, in a quieter, more rural section of the city. We don't know how long Hallie and Dylan had been together. We don't know how they met or when they got married. Those details haven't been made public. What we can say is that they were young. They were building a life together. They had an apartment, a shared space that should have been safe. Hallie and Dylan didn't have children, but Hallie was still someone's daughter, possibly someone's sister, definitely someone's friend. Her loss left a hole in many lives. From the outside, they probably looked like any other young married couple. Maybe they went grocery shopping together. Maybe they argued about what to watch on TV or whose turn it was to do the dishes. Normal stuff. The kind of life thousands of young couples live every day, but something was different behind that apartment door. Something the neighbors didn't see. Something her family might not have known about. Because on Saturday night, February 7th, 2026, that normal life ended in the most violent way possible. So the question we have to ask is this: what was really happening behind closed doors? And were there signs that everyone missed? Saturday night, February 7th, 2026, around 8:20 p.m., a call came into the St. Cloud Police Department. A medical emergency. An apartment off 33rd Street South and 41st Avenue. Someone needed help. Fast. Officers rushed to the scene. When they arrived at the apartment building, they faced an immediate problem. The door was locked. From the inside. They forced their way in. What they found inside that apartment would haunt them. Hallie Marie Tobler was lying on the floor. She wasn't moving. She wasn't breathing. Blood covered the scene. The officers knew immediately she was gone. Hallie had been stabbed, not once, multiple times. Let that sink in for a moment. Multiple stab wounds. This wasn't a single act of violence. This was repeated. Again and again. Each wound represented a choice. A moment where the attacker could have stopped but didn't. When someone is stabbed multiple times, it tells investigators something important. This was personal. This was rage. This was someone who knew the victim. Stabbings are close range, intimate, brutal. But Hallie wasn't alone in that apartment. Dylan Michael Tobler, her 23-year-old husband, was also on the floor. He was alive, but barely. He had serious injuries, life-threatening injuries. And here's the key detail. Police believed those injuries were self-inflicted. Dylan had hurt himself. Badly. Officers called for medical help immediately. Dylan was rushed to St. Cloud Hospital. His condition was critical, but he was stable enough to survive. The Midwest Medical Examiner's Office later confirmed what officers already knew. Hallie Marie Tobler died from multiple stab wounds. The cause of death was clear. The violence was undeniable, and police quickly classified the incident. This was a domestic homicide, an attempted murder-suicide. Think about what that means. Investigators believed Dylan killed his wife, then tried to take his own life. But he survived. Now here's what makes this case even more disturbing. That locked door. Remember, officers had to force their way inside. The door was locked from the inside. That means no one could get in, but it also means no one could get out. Hallie was trapped. There were no witnesses. No one heard screams. No one called for help until it was too late. Whatever happened in that apartment stayed between those four walls until police broke through. Dylan's survival changed everything. In many murder-suicide cases, the attacker dies. The case closes. Questions go unanswered. But Dylan lived. That meant he could be arrested. He could be charged. He could face justice. And that's exactly what happened. Dylan remained in police custody while he recovered at St. Cloud Hospital. Officers made it clear, once he was medically cleared, he would be transferred to Stearns County Jail. He would face charges for Hallie's death. Police also told the public something important. There was no threat to the community. This violence was contained. It happened between two people in a relationship, behind a locked door. But for Hallie's family, that didn't matter. Their daughter was dead, and nothing would bring her back. The St. Cloud Police Department took control of the scene immediately. Officers secured the apartment. They documented everything. Every detail mattered, but this wasn't just a local police matter. The Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension was called in to assist. When state investigators get involved, it means something. It means the case is serious. It means the case is complex. It means they need more resources, more expertise, more eyes on the evidence. The classification came quickly. Domestic homicide, attempted murder-suicide. This wasn't a random attack. This wasn't a break-in gone wrong. This was violence between two people who shared a home, who shared a life. Dylan Michael Tobler remained under police custody while doctors treated him at St. Cloud Hospital. His injuries were serious, but he was stable. And officers made one thing very clear. Once Dylan was medically cleared, he would be arrested. He would be transferred to Stearns County Jail. He would face charges connected to Hallie's death. And the public wanted answers. Police responded with reassurance. There was no ongoing threat to the community. This violence was contained. It happened inside one apartment, between two people in a relationship. Residents could feel safe, but investigators still needed help. They asked anyone with information to come forward. If you knew something, call the St. Cloud Police Department at 3-202-51-1200. You could also contact Tri-County Crime Stoppers at 1-800-255-1301. Even the smallest detail could matter. So what were investigators looking for? In cases like this, they examine everything. They look at the relationship history. Were there past incidents of violence? Had anyone called police before? Were there restraining orders? They talked to friends, family, neighbors. Did anyone see warning signs? Did Hallie ever mention feeling unsafe? And they also collect physical evidence. The weapon used, blood patterns, the position of the bodies, the locked door. Every piece tells part of the story. Locked door domestic homicides present unique challenges. There are no outside witnesses. No one saw what happened. No one heard the full story. Investigators have to rely on physical evidence and whatever the survivor says, if they say anything at all. In intimate partner violence cases, the truth often hides for years. Abuse happens in private. Victims feel ashamed. They make excuses. They protect their abusers. By the time violence becomes visible, it's often too late. And in Hallie's case, it was too late. The investigation could bring justice, but it couldn't bring her back. This case raises so many questions. Before we continue, I want to hear from you. Have you ever seen warning signs of domestic violence in your community? What did you do? Share your thoughts in the comments. Your story might help someone else see danger in their own life. And if you're finding this coverage valuable, smash that like button. It helps us bring awareness to cases like Hallie's. Every share, every comment pushes this story to more people who need to hear it. Now let's talk about the aftermath that shocked Minnesota politics. and left an entire community grieving. Jeff Johnson was in the middle of a campaign. He was running for the Republican nomination for governor of Minnesota in the 2026 election. Campaign posters, town halls, debates, handshakes, promises to voters. His schedule was packed. His focus was on winning. Then came the phone call that changed everything. Your daughter is dead. Imagine that moment. 1 second you're a candidate. The next second you're a father who just lost his child. Nothing else matters. Not the campaign, not the election, not the polls, nothing. On Monday, February 9th, 2026, just 2 days after Hallie's death, the Republican Party of Minnesota released a statement. They announced that Jeff Johnson was suspending his campaign. Here's what they said, word for word. There are no words that can adequately express the sorrow we feel for Jeff and his family. The loss of a child is unimaginable, and our thoughts and prayers are with them as they grieve this devastating tragedy. The statement continued. Out of respect for his family and the enormity of this loss, Jeff has suspended his campaign for governor of Minnesota. We ask all Minnesotans to join us in lifting up the Johnson family during this incredibly painful time. We also extend our gratitude to the first responders and law enforcement officers involved and ask for patience and compassion as the investigation continues. The campaign was over, just like that. In St. Cloud, the community was stunned. The Johnsons were a known family, respected, active in local politics, and now they were dealing with unimaginable grief in public. That's the cruel reality for families like this. Most people get to grieve in private. But when you're a public figure, your pain becomes a news story. Your tragedy gets discussed on social media. Strangers have opinions about your loss. This case also shattered a dangerous myth. Some people think domestic violence only happens in certain families. Poor families, uneducated families, families with problems. But Hallie's death proved that wrong. Domestic violence doesn't care about your income. It doesn't care about your education. It doesn't care about your last name. It can happen to anyone, behind any door, in any neighborhood. Let's talk about the bigger picture. Because Hallie's story isn't unique. It's part of a much larger problem. Every year in the United States, more than 12 million people are affected by domestic violence. 12 million. That's not a small number. That's bigger than the population of New York City. And those are just the reported cases. Many more go unreported. Here's another fact that should make you pause. About half of all female homicide victims in America are killed by current or former intimate partners. Half. Not strangers, not random attackers. From the people they loved, the people they trusted. So let's talk about murder-suicide cases like Hallie's. What drives someone to kill their partner and then try to kill themselves? It often comes down to control. When an abuser feels like they're losing control over their partner, they panic, they can't handle it. The thought process becomes, if I can't have you, no one can. It's not love. It's possession. There's a huge difference between partnership and ownership. Healthy relationships are built on equality. Abusive relationships are built on power. Loss of control is a major trigger. Maybe the victim tried to leave. Maybe they threatened to leave. Maybe they started standing up for themselves. That shift terrifies the abuser. And sometimes it turns deadly. Now let's look at risk factors. What makes domestic violence more likely to turn lethal? A history of abuse. If someone has been violent before, they're likely to be violent again. Often, the violence gets worse over time. Access to weapons, guns, knives, anything that can cause serious harm. The presence of weapons increases the danger significantly. Substance abuse, alcohol and drugs don't cause domestic violence, but they can make it worse. They lower inhibitions. They fuel anger, obsessive jealousy. When someone constantly accuses their partner of cheating, monitors their every move, or explodes with rage over innocent interactions, that's a red flag. Recent or impending separation. This is critical. The most dangerous time for a victim is when they're trying to leave or have just left. That's when abusers feel they're losing control. Prior threats. If someone has threatened to kill their partner or themselves, take it seriously. Those aren't empty words. So what are the warning signs? What should you look for if you're worried about someone? Controlling behavior. Does their partner decide what they wear, who they see, where they go? That's control, not care. Isolation from friends and family. Abusers cut their victims off from support systems. They want them alone and dependent. Verbal abuse and belittling. Constant insults. Name-calling. Making the victim feel worthless. Threats and intimidation. If you leave me, I'll kill you. I'll hurt your family. No one will believe you. These are serious threats. Physical violence, even if it seems minor. A push, a shove, a slap. Violence is violence. And it usually gets worse. Extreme jealousy, constantly checking phones, accusing without reason, getting angry when the victim talks to others, rapid relationship progression, moving too fast, saying I love you after a week, wanting to move in together immediately. This can be a warning sign of unhealthy attachment. Blame shifting. You made me do this. If you hadn't said that, I wouldn't have hit you. Abusers never take responsibility. Now here's a question people always ask. Why don't victims just leave? It's not that simple. Here's why. Financial dependence. Many victims rely on their abuser for money, housing, or basic needs. Leaving means losing everything. Fear of escalation. Victims know their abuser better than anyone. They know leaving could make things worse. And they're right. Leaving is the most dangerous time. Emotional manipulation. Abusers are experts at making victims feel guilty, responsible, or hopeless. I'll change. I'm sorry. You're the only one who understands me. These words keep victims trapped. Hope for change. Victims remember the good times. They believe the person they fell in love with is still in there. They hope things will get better. Concern for children or pets. Abusers often threaten to hurt or take away children or pets. Victims stay to protect them. Social isolation. After years of being cut off from friends and family, victims feel like they have nowhere to go, no one to turn to. And remember, the most dangerous time is when leaving. That's when abusers feel they've lost all control. That's when violence becomes lethal. Hallie's case reminds us of that terrible truth. Here's the question that haunts everyone who hears this story. Could Hallie's death have been prevented? Let's start with what we know. That locked apartment. It's more than just a detail. It's a symbol. Locked doors mean isolation. They mean control. They mean whatever happens inside stays hidden from the world. There's no public record of prior incidents between Hallie and Dylan. No police reports. No restraining orders. No documented history of violence. Does that mean everything was fine? Absolutely not. Most domestic violence stays hidden. Victims don't report it. They're scared. They're They're ashamed. They make excuses. He didn't mean it. I made him angry. It won't happen again. And abusers are experts at hiding their true nature. In public, abusers often seem charming, friendly, normal. Neighbors see a nice young couple. Co-workers see a regular guy. Family sees someone who seems to care. But behind closed doors, that's a different story. So what's our responsibility as a community? What should we do when we suspect something's wrong? First, pay attention. If a friend suddenly stops seeing their family, that's a red flag. If someone always has excuses for bruises, that's a red flag. If their partner controls every aspect of their life, that's a red flag. Bystander intervention matters. If you see something, say something. Not in an aggressive way, not by confronting the abuser, but by reaching out to the victim privately. Are you okay? I'm worried about you. I'm here if you need help. Those simple words can save a life. Friends and family play a huge role. Keep the lines of communication open. Don't judge. Don't give ultimatums like just leave him. Instead, listen. Believe them. Help them make a safety plan. When should you call for help? If someone is in immediate danger, call 911. If you know about ongoing abuse, encourage the victim to contact a domestic violence hotline. They can help create an escape plan. Safety planning is critical. Victims need to know where they'll go, what they'll take, and how they'll stay safe when they leave. Law enforcement has protocols for domestic violence calls, but protection orders have limitations. A piece of paper can't physically stop an abuser. It's a legal tool, but not a guarantee of safety. There's a gap between seeing danger and stopping tragedy. We can see the warning signs, we can offer help, but we can't force someone to leave. And sometimes, by the time they're ready to leave, it's too late. Our systems are failing. We need better education in schools about healthy relationships. We need earlier intervention when violence first appears. We need stronger accountability for abusers. We need more resources for victims, shelters, counseling, financial support. We need better access to help for people struggling with anger and control issues. What could have saved Hallie's life? We'll never know for sure. Maybe nothing, maybe everything. But here's the real question. How many other Hallies are out there right now, behind locked doors, hoping someone will notice, hoping someone will help? That's on all of us. If you're experiencing abuse, or if you know someone who is, please listen carefully. Help is available. You are not alone. The National Domestic Violence Hotline is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Call 1-800-799-SAFE. That's 1-800-799-97233. Trained advocates will listen. And they'll help you create a safety plan. They'll connect you with resources in your area. If you're in Minnesota, call Minnesota Day 1 at 1-866-223-1111. They understand the local resources and can help immediately. If you're in crisis and need someone to talk to right now, call or text 988. That's the Crisis Lifeline. They're there for you. For support and information, you can also contact the NAMI helpline at 1-800-950-6264. All of these calls are confidential. They're free. No one will judge you. No one will force you to do anything you're not ready for. If you're trying to help someone in an abusive relationship, here's what to do. Listen without judgment. Believe them. Don't criticize their abuser. That might push them away. Instead, provide resources. help them plan for safety, and most importantly, stay connected. Might let them know you're there, no matter what. There is hope. There is help. You just have to reach out. Hallie Marie Tobler was just 22 years old, a daughter, a wife, a young woman with her entire life ahead of her. She should be here today. But she's not. Dylan Michael Tobler remains in custody. He's expected to face charges for Hallie's death. Justice will be pursued through the courts. But no verdict, no sentence, no punishment can bring Hallie back. This case is a reminder that domestic violence doesn't discriminate. It doesn't care about your family name. It doesn't care about your neighborhood. It doesn't care about your income level. It can happen anywhere, to anyone. If this video opened your eyes to the reality of domestic violence, please share it. You never know who might need to see this. And tell me in the comments, what do you think needs to change to prevent tragedies like this? How can we, as a community, do better? Hit that like button if you want us to continue covering cases that matter and raising awareness about domestic violence. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss our coverage of true crime cases. Hallie's story doesn't have to be in vain. Let's honor her memory by learning, by speaking up, and by supporting those who need help. Until next time, stay safe, stay aware, and look out for each other.